Good af Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Cassandra White, a Grants Program Manager at the Division of Arts and Culture, and this is a webinar focused on helping you succeed in the annual report for your cultural endowment.
And I'm Samantha Arroyo. I manage the endowments.
We're also joined by Terry Apstein, our Financial Administrator for the division. We'll be going through the report as it appears in the sheet we send to you every year, so you might want to have that opened, as I mentioned, and you also may want to open up your DOS grants page. During the presentations, participants are muted and cameras are turned off. However, there is a chat feature available, so if you have questions throughout the presentation, feel free to drop it in the chat box. We'll also have time for a Q&A at the end of the presentation. There are several reasons we require you to do this annual report. First, it's a legal requirement of the endowment your organization's accepted. When we are evaluating these, we want to see that you have maintained the corpus of your endowments, that you have spent any interest for allowable project costs, and that you are crediting the Division of Arts and Culture in your programming. We are now moving to the report itself. The basic information at the top of the annual report can be found on the DOS grant system. If you are new to DOS grants, we have some user information at the end of the presentation for using the system. Once you have logged in, go to My Organizations under the Organizations tab at the top, then click on Details. You will then want to click on Organization Grants. The number you want for END number is under the project number and starts with END. This is not your FEIN number. From the same organization details page, sort your grants by program number. To sort by program number, just click on the blue program button. Your endowments will say cultural endowment in that field. Count how many shares you have by counting the number of lines. The next section of the report is quite straightforward. Simply fill out these questions with the yes or no answers. Please note that if your organization conducts an annual audit, we will require you to forward it to us upon completion. If you answer yes to any of the first four questions for expending the principal, using it as collateral, filing for bankruptcy, or ceasing cultural programming operations, you will be asked to correct the mistake or to give the state's portion of your endowment back. You have 15 calendar days after our written notice of default letter to correct the issue. If not, the department shall terminate the agreement.
We next ask you to describe the specific use of the fund income and how much money you spent on each usage. For this, list each specific use of funds and give the number spent. If you have not expended any funds, say that. The next slide will show an example of a well-completed description field. The second description field asks for the specific benefits to your organization from the monies you spent. Please summarize the benefits in a paragraph or less. For each of these fields, you are welcome to attach additional pages if you need them. Here is an example of an excellently completed description field. Note that the museum is specific about how the funds were spent, both as a broad category and the specific usages of funds. They also gave us a great quote we can use to show how the endowment program benefits arts in the state. The asset chart is quite tricky for many folks. These numbers should be on the first page of your endowment statements from your investing instrument. Look for these four things: the face value, which is the nominal or dollar value of a security at its issuance as stated by the issuer. Same as par value for bonds. The investment instrument, which is how the money is being held, cash instruments, bonds, equity investments, ETFs, etc. The market value, which is what the endowment fund is worth today if you were to sell the investments it holds. The other number we ask for is the interest earned for the fiscal year. This should be calculated annually. Maintain the schedule of how you calculated interest earned. There are several required attachments for this report. We need copies of monthly or quarterly account statements coinciding with your organization's last fiscal year. The statements must cover the entire fiscal year. Additionally, you need to include a copy of the most recent monthly or quarterly account statement from the financial investment institution maintaining the endowment program fund. The only exception to this is if your fiscal year end date is in July, because you will have already included that statement with your fiscal year documents. The last attachments are a copy of your organization's program or exhibition schedule. We need to see the logo or the statement giving credit to the Department of State Division of Arts and Culture. This year, we will accept the old logo, but for next year, please make sure you update to our beautiful new logo seen here. The link is also available in all formats at the link on the slide. You can also reach out to me if you need the link. The other thing we are looking for is appropriate accessibility symbols to show that the facility and program is accessible. Use of accessibility symbols is strongly encouraged for all marketing materials, including brochures, programs, catalogs, any other printed materials, websites, and digital communications. Please see the graphic on the slide for some of the accessibility symbols you might use.
We are almost to the end of the report. There are a couple more things we ask you to do while you are sending in your annual report. The Florida Single Audit Act requires recipients and subrecipients to have a state single audit if $750,000 or more in state financial assistance is expended during the non-state entity's fiscal year. The Federal Single Audit Act requires recipients and subrecipients to have a single audit if $750,000 or more in federal financial assistance is expended during the non-state entity's fiscal year. You'll notice we are specifically looking at non-state entities for this requirement. Non-state entities are local government entities, higher education entities, nonprofit organizations, or for-profit organizations that receive state financial assistance. That's in Florida Statute 215.97. You can check if you completed this on your organization details page and DOS grants. You have 9 months from the end of your fiscal year to complete the certification form and submit an audit if required. Now is a good time to complete that certification so you don't have to remember to do it later. We would also like you to ensure that your contact person for the endowment is up to date. To do this, go to the DOS grant site and search for your organization. Make sure that you log in using your own account. If you don't have a personal DOS grants account, you can easily create one. Once you've searched your organization, click on the details button. If you are not associated, click the Request Account Association button. This will send an email to the organization manager prompting them to approve you. If no one active is an organization manager, call Sammy. She can get you fixed up. We want at least 2 accurate contacts for each endowment. If you're already an organization manager, click Manage Staff on the right. You can either view staff requests if someone with a grant account has requested permissions for your organization, or add a new staff member if you are adding that person yourself. From the organization staff page, you can edit or disassociate staff members. You cannot update email addresses. Create a new profile if your email has changed. Please list a phone number for any grant contact. Accounts that are not linked means that the person hasn't verified being part of your organization. And please also email Sammy with your updated contact information.
That is all, folks. Here are all of the division staff and program managers with their emails. We will be posting a link to the recording and a copy of the slides on the Cultural Endowment page of the division's website. There will also be a copy of the recording on the division's YouTube channel. Time for questions and answers. Also, a quick note that the recording of this webinar will be on YouTube, and the slides and the link to the recording will be posted on the Cultural Endowment page of our website, as shown on the slide.
So do we have any questions here? Please pop them in the chat if you do. How exciting. We appear to have covered everything. That's very lovely for us. I'm
Wonderful.
going to give people a couple more minutes to pop in questions, but remember, you can also call or email Sammy if you have questions anytime. She's very accessible for these type of
Hmm.
things.
And I promise I don't bite.
Last year's report. Elizabeth asks, is there a way to get a copy of last year's report? Sammy?
Yes, I will be able to send you that via email. Just shoot me an email. My email was on the previous slide, but most of you, we've been in contact before. You should have it. Oh, here it is. Wonderful. And I'll send you last year's Cultural Endowment report upon request.
And it is not in DOS grants. Caitlin asks, do we need to credit the Division of Arts and Culture for all exhibitions and programs or only those directly funded by funds drawn from the endowment interest?
I believe so.
Terry, do you happen to know that one from statute?
So I think this is a little bit trickier than just the way it was stated. So if you only have an endowment with us, you don't get any other grant funds, then you only need to give us credit for the programs that you use the funds for. If you, for example, had a 23-24 general program support in addition to your endowment, you would give us credit for all of your programming because it would be a general program support grant. So it supports everything.
Thank you so much, Terry.
Sure.
Any other questions, folks? Wonderful, Caitlin. I'm glad that you were able to get some clarification on that. All right. Well, with no other questions appearing in the chat, I think we're going to call this a nice short webinar. And thank you so much, everyone, for your time and attention. We appreciate it.